I might be going just a little crazy. I'm still making these hexagon shelves. I've got a whole box full. Good morning, everybody. It's Stephen here for Bland Designs and the Idiot Quilter, and welcome to my weekly vlog for Monday, April the 25th, 2022, and it's vlog number 262 and day 776 of COVID. And since we're into statistics right now, I just went over 6,000 subscribers. Thank you. Over the last few weeks, I have had a definite increase in the number of people that are subscribing to all of my videos. And I want you to know, I'm not a newcomer here. I've been doing this for 10 years. Yeah, hard to believe. I started out very tiny, just doing 5-minute little craft videos, and it's grown into what it is today. But it's only been since I did the interview with Kate of The Last Homely House that suddenly people have found me and are subscribing to me. And you want to know something? On a personal note, that makes me feel really good. It does. Because what it says to me is that people are interested in what I have to present, and I hope you're finding it informative, and I hope you find it entertaining as well. And I enjoy making them. It's one of my many hobbies that I do. So thank you for that. And if you are somebody that pops in but on a regular basis, but you haven't yet subscribed, then I'm going to do the thing that I hate when other YouTube creators do it, but it seems to work. And that is, I'm just going to remind you, please subscribe to me. Rent it, lips. See, I don't like saying this, but subscribe to me and hit the like button. That doesn't hurt. That, for some reason, this does make my videos appear in the algorithm where other people can find it. So yeah, so again, thank you so much for your support. It just encourages me to keep on going. I'll be honest, I have thought on some days that, why am I doing this? Maybe I should just stop. But you know, when I see that I've hit over 6,000 subscribers, that isn't really a lot, but to me that's a lot. It says to me, yeah, this is worth doing. So thank you. Okay, that was a little bit of a rant there. Well, it wasn't really a rant, but you know what I mean. Okay, let's just jump into things before I say something I shouldn't say. Quilting. Yes, I've been busy with my new quilt path, the computerized system for my long arm, for Lucy. That's what I call the long arm, as you know. And there's a learning curve, but anything new there always is, and that is just fine with me because it keeps my mind going. And you've heard me say this many times before, as we grow older, we have to keep our minds going, and so that definitely helps. Yes, there were moments when I want to pick the whole thing up and throw it out the window, but slowly but surely I am learning how to do this. So I have done to date 3 quilts. I have quilted. One I did last week. On Tuesday last week, we went over to Whirls and Swirls with Tracy, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about that later. And she said to bring a quilt with me, and we put it on one of her machines, and she showed me how to do an edge-to-edge design, and here is the result. And here it is. Now, this is a really large quilt, and I've had it sitting in my UFO pile for probably 2 years or longer. It's called Doves of Hope. I love this quilt. I love my color selection in it. Yeah, I'm patting myself on my back, on my own back, but you know, if you can't praise yourself, who can you? And yeah, I was really happy with the way it turned out. And then I wasn't sure what to do about quilting it because I didn't want to wreck it. So there it sat. Well, it's now quilted. Let me give you a little bit of a close-up of the quilting. This is a pattern. It's a pantograph, but okay, when you hear the word pantograph, you might instantly think a long paper roll with a design on it that you trace out with a laser light on the back of your long arm. And yes, that is a pantograph. But they also refer to that kind of thing in the electronic program as well. And essentially it's an edge-to-edge design, but the computer did it for me. and it did a wonderful job. As you can see, I think this pattern is called Any Which Way, and I really like that particular pattern. In fact, I did 2 quilts with that pattern. Um, but it came out very, very nice, and I was very pleased with it. Couple of minor little problems we had along the way, but they didn't do anything to the quilt. It was just in setup. But that's why I was there with Tracy to learn how to do that. So now I have to bind this sucker, and that's going to take a bit because binding is not one of my favorite things to do. But this one, now you've seen this in various stages. This is the one I called the Scrap Block Challenge, and it was one that was, the blocks were done from bags of scraps that I handed out at the Ultimate Sewing Retreat about a month ago. And these were the blocks that were created, and I had said that I would put this together as a quilt, and I have. And I put it on the machine and let the computer quilt it. And you can see I used actually the same pattern as I used on the big one. I really like that pattern. And also it was an experiment because when I used that pattern at Tracy's shop, she already had it on her machine, but it's a pattern that you have to buy from Urban Elements. They're the go-to for all these kind of things, and download it and place it on your machine. So I bought it and placed it on my machine, and I want to make sure that I was doing it right. So that's why I'm using the same pattern again, because I was testing out the download facility. So anyways, I got that done, but stupid me, and this was not the fault of the machine. If you see this little blue border, very thin all the way around, it's about an inch, inch and a half in width. Well, that used to be about 3.5 inches in width. I had to cut it back. The reason being is when I got down to this part of the quilt, I realized I was running out of background or backing fabric, which was my problem. I miscalculated. Well, when you get to that stage, what are you going to do? I mean, there is something you can do, but it's kind of involved. Actually, Tracy has a video about how to do that if you run short of batting or of backing while your quilt is on your long arm. But I didn't want to go through all of that. So I used one of the facilities of the program called an Eclipse that they basically, you tell it where you want to quilt, if you want it on the inside of a certain area or on the outside. But I kind of did that wrong. So you see there's a line that runs right along here, and there's another line that runs right along here. Let me blow it up a little bit more so you'll see it. So you see there's this line. Well, it's because I set that little function up incorrectly, but I did manage to get down a ways into the border here. So what I did was, when it was done, I took it off the machine and I trimmed up the quilt so that I was able to have backing fabric all the way around, but it meant that I had to cut the borders from 3.5 inches down to about 1.5 inches. But that's okay. That's not a big problem. And this one is now bound, and I'm going to show you that picture of that. Just give me a second to find it. And so here it is with the binding on it. So you can see, actually, no one would ever know unless I told them that there was a larger border out here. It almost been slightly thinner. If I trimmed it off a little bit more, it would have looked like a flanged binding. But anyways, it turned out okay. And after all, it's just a scrap quilt. So, you know, I wasn't that concerned about it. And I was using it basically to, you know, play around with Quilt Path, the software. But I have sent a note off to Donna, the hostess with the mostest at Ultimate Sewing, who organized the retreat, and said, would she like to send a picture of this to the people who participated at the retreat? Or, you know, if she wanted, there was a spot if they thought they could hang it up maybe in the store and people could see it there. And she wrote back to me and said, yeah, they'd like to hang it up in the store. So that's great. I'm dropping it in probably tomorrow to Ultimate Sewing, and people can see what their finished handiwork looked like as a quilt. It's kind of like, even though each of the blocks were scrappy, I put in coping strips and did some sashing, and it actually makes a very colorful, fun quilt, I think. Now the other project that, oops, that's not it, wrong picture, sorry. Just let me find the right picture. And so this is the third quilt. Now you have seen it before, before it was quilted. It's called pointless because I was trying to use up charm packs and I cut off the points on some of my pieces here, which was my fault because I forgot to compensate for a 1/4 inch seam allowance. But, well, points happen, don't they? Or don't in this case. Anyways, I have it quilted, and I decided to try my hand at feathers. Well, try the computer at feathers, and you can see them here. And it worked out pretty good, and I didn't have any problems with the bottom piece this time. Everything worked out well. The only thing I really kind of regret right now is I should have reduced the size of the feathers so there would have been more of them and it would have been a little denser quilting, because you know I've got a lot of negative space on this quilt and I think that would have looked a little better. But que sera, sera. I'm still learning the program, and it's pretty. I'll say that it's pretty. So this is another one that I have to bind it now. So my goal this week is to get all those quilts that I've done so far on the quilt path bound, and they're finished. And then I want to move on with another experiment because somebody asked me this yesterday on Stephen and Walter Live, and that was whether or not the program would allow me to just quilt within a selected block. And yes, it does. How do you do that? Not absolutely sure, but I know it does that, so that's what I want to play around with next. And I have another scrappy quilt that I put together, long time ago, sitting in the other room next to Lucy. So I think that's the one I will probably experiment on because, again, it's just a scrappy quilt. So I will probably do a video of this and put it up on my site. I've already got a video showing working on this quilt as well. And basically, I take you through my thought process as I learn that aspect of the program. Okay, so those are things I've been working on. And so let's turn our attention to the YouTube channel of the week. This is actually a video clip from one by a lady called Shirley Serban. I think that's how you say her name. She does a lot of musical parodies, and I've reviewed her YouTube channel before, and it's extremely entertaining. And she does them very, very well. This is a lady who knows how to edit videos at a level that's so far above me. But this one, she takes Madonna's famous song, Vogue, and she changes the words, and it becomes vague. And, well, I'll just give you my little quickie review of this. This week's YouTube segment is one that comes from a very hilarious lady from Australia. Her name is, and I have to look down here to find it because I sort of forgot it. Let's just see. Yeah, it's Shirley Serban, and she does these musical parodies of popular songs, and I love watching her because they are so well done and they're very funny and they're very topical. And this one I really liked a lot because it's one of my favorite songs of all time by Madonna, Vogue. And she does this one as a parody about being clueless. And it's very, very funny on many, many levels. But I think the video quality of it is very high as well. She must spend hours making her videos and editing them. And so it's Vogue by Madonna parody song, and it's called Vague. And, you know, in this day and age, I think this is very topical because aren't there an awful lot of people, especially politicians, who make some very vague statements about the state of affairs in our country or in our city or in our province? So she's really picked up on this quite well in a very humorous but thoughtful manner. You should check out many of her videos because I find them all very entertaining. She is very clever. So check out Vogue by Madonna parody song called Vague. So if you're interested in seeing that full video clip, then it's listed in the show notes below. Latest Stephen and Walter is listed below. There's an Idiot Quilter episode, Ergonomics, I'm a Believer. I always poo-pod this whole thing about ergonomics and things. But now I talk about why I'm a believer in those and how it has really helped me with back pain and shoulder pain, which has been basically caused by sewing. Um, I also have the demonstration, another demonstration for the Accuquilt cube system. Um, there's our latest version, our latest episode of So Chatty, 56, uh, about the quilt path, adventures, and other things. And I have a special video on there using APQS Quilt Path version 5 for the first time. So all of those are there and they're listed in the show notes. And also in the show notes is a Zoom link for the next Craft and Chat. Now, it doesn't happen for another week and a half. It'll be on May 4th. May the 4th be with you. Had to be said. But I'm putting it in advance there so you know about it. Those of you that are on my mailing list for Craft and Chat, you will be getting, beginning of next week, you will get a special email with that link in it for you. If you want to be part of that mailing list, just drop me a line. My email address is in the show notes. And just tell me you want to be part of that email list, and I will add your information there. I also have two other emailing lists. I have one for upcoming retreats when I do those. The next Idiot Quilter retreat will not take place until probably late September, very early October. But if you want to be on that mailing list, let me know. And I have a third mailing list, and that's for the pop-up sew and craft day, which, yeah, I never know when those are going to happen. Shh, I think I might be having one on May the 7th. Just saying, maybe, not a promise, okay? But as always, I post the Zoom link for that in, well, you'll get a notification will come up on my YouTube channel 24 hours before I have one of those. But if you want advance warning, you can have your name put on the pop-up Sew and Craft Day mailing list as well. So lots of things here. So you may want to pause, rewind, and replay. Maybe. I don't know. Yeah, right. Okay, let's move on here. Looking out my window. So, what's today looking like? Well, when I took this picture, it's looking a little dark. Now, it's not. The sun is coming up. That was at 7:42. It is now 8:04. And it is a little brighter out there right now. I don't know what today's forecast is. Currently, it's 11 degrees Celsius. So that's pretty good at this time of morning. That's like darn near shorts weather. Get out my sandals. And I'm just looking here to see what today's forecast is. The high is supposed to be about 16, so that'll be nice. But it looks like they're calling for the chance of rain as well. So, yeah, well, it still is April. April showers, May flowers, all that kind of stuff, right? So, no snow. That's a good thing. They're getting hit with snow out west. But here, we're starting to green up. And in about another couple of weeks, if we have some more warm weather, this tree is going to start to blossom. And that's always nice because I love this tree. It's a nice shape. And the tree, there's another tree right next door to it on our neighbor's property. And since these trees have been here since we moved into the subdivision, which is 27 years ago, these trees have really grown. They were just little saplings when we moved in. And they're really starting to touch each other now. And they have another tree in their yard that's getting big too. So it's a wonderful canopy of leaves in the summer. Mind you, come the fall, you got to rake them all up too. But I'm not complaining. I don't rake them. Walter does. Yeah, it's good to have servants, right? I'm glad he's still in bed and sound asleep, because if he heard me say that, I know what kind of look I would get. Okay, so come back to me. So what's pissing me off this week? Well, it's not really so much a pissed off as much as a warning. And you may or may not know this already. You know, since COVID started, a lot of us have done a lot more online shopping than we normally would. And I am definitely one of those people. And you've heard me say this many times before. A day without an Amazon delivery is a day without sunshine. Because it almost seems like I get something from Amazon every day. Actually, this week's going to be a slow week. I haven't ordered anything yet. Well, at least not from Amazon. But I did order something on tail end of last week. I have a Kobo e-reader. It's, for those of you that don't know what Kobo is, it's the equivalent to a Kindle. Okay, same idea. I've had one for years. In fact, I've had, this is my third one. I absolutely love my Kobo. I read every night when I first get into bed. Um, and it's right there on my bedside table. And yes, I could use my iPad, I could use my phone, and there are occasions when I do. But I like the size of this Kobo. I like I just, the lightness of it, the whole bit. I don't need to be able to connect to the internet, although this Kobo will allow me to connect to the Kobo store. When I finish one book, I just buy another one. It's right there on my ebook. I love it. Absolutely love it. However, it has a cover for it, right? This cover is a special cover. It works with the on-off system of the e-reader. So when I'm finished reading, I just close the cover and it puts my Kobo to sleep, but it remembers where I left off. So the next time I open it up, bang, I'm right at the page that I left off from. Kind of like in the old days of paper books when you put in a bookmark, okay? So yeah, it's great. But my cover, it is so well used that my cover is really starting to show the wear of time. It's starting to split, it's got some rips in it, that kind of thing. So I thought, I really need to buy a new cover. I did look at the newer Kobos that they have, but they do a lot of other things. They're almost like having an iPad, and I have an iPad, several. So why do I need another iPad? So I decided, there's nothing wrong with my Kobo. I'm just going to keep it, but I'm going to get a new cover. Well, that wasn't so easy because I went to the Kobo store and apparently they were out of stock and no indication if they were getting them in again. And I'm thinking they probably aren't because it didn't look like you could buy this particular model of Kobo anymore. So I went to Amazon, as I always do, and yeah, popped right up on my screen a cover for it, about $20 before taxes. It's from a company called KW Mobile, and looking at their email address, and I did this after the fact, and I'll tell you why. It looks like they're out of Germany, but I'm not sure. But anyways, it's on Amazon. Under Prime, I could get it the next day. I didn't think the price was bad, and it was really, really pretty. And I showed a picture of this yesterday on Stephen and Walter Live. Well, it came the next day. I was excited. I took it out of the package, and the first letdown was, in their picture, this looked like it was made with fabric or leather or something like that and stitched. This was flimsy plastic. The picture that was on it had a nice little graphic, and it's one reason why I picked this particular one. I thought the graphic was kind of cool, but it looked like it was embedded right into the material that they had made the cover out of. No, it was like a little decal. Well, that didn't impress me much. I checked the hinging system on it. Well, it was a flimsy little piece of vinyl, which I knew for sure after opening and closing many times, it was just going to split and fall apart. So I was not impressed. But then I thought, well, yeah, I figured too, it's not really going to protect my Kobo if I drop it, because this plastic was like very, very thin. I knew as soon as it hit the floor, it's probably going to crack. So I tried to put my Kobo in it. Didn't fit. No, it's out by about quarter of an inch, maybe. Now, the thing was, it said it was for a Kobo edition 1, or edition 1. Well, I tried to find out which edition I had because I couldn't remember, but I thought I bought it so long ago, I figured it was probably edition 1, and I couldn't find anything that told me otherwise. So I had ordered it. Well, it didn't fit. Well, I was a little pissed off. And on their packaging, they had a QR code that you could scan. It would take you to their website for feedback. So I did that. And I told them exactly what I told you about it. Well, I did get a message back from them very quickly. And they said, sorry that you're not satisfied. We'll give you a refund. Go through Amazon for the refund. So I thought, okay, fine. So I went on to Amazon and I went into the, where you go in for stuff like that, put it all in. And Amazon said they would credit my account for the full amount. And I just needed to send this back to them. And they sent me this mailing label. And it's via perlator, and there's a drop-off point very close to my house. So this is all ready to go. Today or tomorrow, I will drop it off and send it back to Kobo or to Amazon. Okay. Now, I do have one on order. I did find one through Kobo that I think is the right one for my aura. It costs more money, but it's much better quality. It's an official cover. So yeah, I should have just gone that route before. But here's what I'm saying about Amazon. Beware of. Amazon deals with a lot of third-party companies, obviously. But you feel that, or I feel that if Amazon has a company on there, then they're a reputable company, because Amazon does, from my experience, screen who is selling products on their site. But lately, I've been noticing there's been a lot of not so good sellers on Amazon. So I think Amazon is dropping the what do you call it? Dropping the, not stone. There's an expression. Oh, well, whatever. Brain fart. You know what I mean. I don't think that they're doing the best job that they can with that. So you got to watch out for things. One, pictures that are put up on Amazon for some products by some sellers are not reliable. In the case of this Kobo cover I bought, well, I explained to you, didn't look anything like what they were advertising. Okay. The other thing is, check out the reviews. Now, the reviews are at the very bottom of whatever the product page is. So you have to scroll through a lot of crap before you get there. But check out the reviews and see what other people are saying about the product. However, here's something you must beware of. Some of those reviews are fake. They are fake. They are put up by the company themselves to make it sound like they've put it up. How can you tell whether it's fake or not? Well, one way is look at the way the grammar is used. A lot of these companies, sad to say, but it is the way of our life these days, come from China or, Asian countries, where basically they make really cheap products because they don't pay their workers very much. And that's a conversation for another day. But if the English is broken, chances are this is not a legitimate review. Now, some of these companies will actually pay people to write good reviews. How do I know that? Because I was approached a couple of times by a company that's in China that makes some of the video cameras that I use with my 3D printers. They were inexpensive cameras, but they suit my purposes. And to be honest, they work very, very well. I had one little problem with them, and I notified the company, and they rectified it. But one thing this company did was they told me that if I wrote them a good review on Amazon, sent them the link to the review, they would refund me the money for one of those cameras. And at the time, that was about $30. Well, I did believe in the product. I thought it was decent. And I wrote a review, and I included in that review my one criticism as well. So I was writing an honest review, and they were true to their name. They sent me a refund on my credit card for one of the cameras that I bought. But I've had other companies approach me and say, hey, if you give us a 5-star rating, we'll give you $5 off on your next order, or we'll send you a credit for $10 or something like that. I won't do it because if it's a product I don't believe in, I'm not going to write a good review about it because I don't think that's right. That's not fair. So beware of that. What you need to do is, first of all, if you find all glowing reviews with absolutely no criticism whatsoever and not very many of them, I'd be a little iffy. If in your gut, you'll know. You're kind of looking at it and going, I'm not sure. Well, check that out. I'd like to see a balance in reviews that are good and ones that are good, but they give, some honest criticism as well. That really helps me make up my mind. In the case of this Kobo cover, I did not look at those. I should have. Walter always looks at the reviews, always. And I'm going to start making sure I do that as well. Because to be honest, this is basically the first bad experience that I've ever had on Amazon. Well, no, I've had a couple of others, but easily rectified. But yeah, it's been a while. The other thing you might want to look at, too, is look at the description of the product. The picture and the description may not match up. And if they don't, that's a red flag that something's not right here as well. The other thing you want to look at is who is stocking this. Is it an Amazon product? Are they stocking it? It'll tell you that over on the right hand side that this is supplied by Amazon. Other times you'll see, and in the case of this product, it was not supplied by Amazon. It was supplied by this third-party company, KW Mobile or something. Because Amazon does not necessarily stand behind the product. If their name isn't on it as the shipper and as the supplier. Okay, I found that out the hard way as well. So if you're trying to get a refund or something, you may or may not. Now, I think this one was being shipped by Amazon, so that's why I got the quick response for returning it with all the information there. So some things you need to be aware of when you're buying online. 9 times out of 10, I never have a problem with anything that Amazon has on there. But it only needs to happen to you once before you check things out. So buyer beware, I guess. So I thought, if you hadn't thought of this already, and you may have, that I would just tell you a little bit about it based on my own experience. Okay, so product review. Well, I have been bitten by the Accuquilt, bug, I guess. And let me go up here. So I already had bought the 10-inch, and the 8-inch blocks. So Walter decided to get me a gift, and he bought me, and I haven't got them both shown here. He bought me the 12-inch, that one that I'm showing here. Oh no, that is the 12-inch. Okay. He bought me the 12-inch and the 6-inch block. And along with that order came this book, Quilt in a Day Go Cube, which has all kinds of patterns using all of the blocks. Okay. Now, yes, Eleanor Burns is a big name in the quilting community, but she is an ambassador. Actually, I think she gets a huge kickback because she's always talking about Accuquilt system. And this book has her name on it. Supposedly, they're her patterns. I have a feeling they're written by somebody else because, Eleanor's big out there, and that's okay. That doesn't bother me. But lots of patterns in there that I can use, and I'm going to go through and pick out some and do an entire quilt using nothing but the Accuquilt, and we'll see how that works out. But I am bitten by the bug, so now I have the 12-inch, the 10-inch, the 8-inch, and the 6-inch. But there's more. There's also a 9-inch and a 4-inch cube, so I also ordered those, and they should be coming this week, I think. So I'll have the complete set of those. But there's more. I bought another Accuquilt strip cutter for 5.5-inch strips, and I bought one for a specialty die for making what's called a drunkard's path, and that involves curves, and I thought it'd be a heck of a lot easier to cut out the pieces using the die than using a template and a rotary cutter. So yeah, I'm definitely into this a great deal, but I do love it. And I'll say more about as time goes on, as I play even more and learn more about Accuquilt, and those I will save for the Idiot Quilter episodes. So check those out if you're interested. Okay, so that was something new that I got this week, and I also got a fabric haul, and I'll just show that to you. And here it is. Aren't these pretty? And that's why I bought them. But I also saw this pattern that uses these as well, called Color Collage. It's by Northcott. So at the same time, from the same place, I believe I've got this from Stitch It Central in London, Ontario, Canada. And they're becoming one of my go-to stores these days online. And so I just love the color in these. Now, in order to do this pattern, I have to buy some more fabrics, which I didn't realize, but I need some solids and things like that. And yeah, when will I get to it? No idea, but it's pretty, and I just love pretty fabrics. Okay, so that's pretty much all I've picked up in the last week. I have some those dies to pick up later this week, and I have some backing fabric to pick up at Whirls and Swirls. And yeah, it never stops, does it? Shop, shop, shop till you drop, as they say. All right, so let me come back here. So what have I been doing on the 3D printer? Well, I've been making a lot of hexie shelves. Now, you've seen this before. In fact, there's some right behind me on the shelf there. In fact, I have a lot of hexie shelves. I absolutely love them. They're great for displaying all of my little trinkets that I make on my 3D printer. So I thought I'd show you what I'm talking about here. I just got to find my pictures. And I'll be right back with that. Okay, so I used to have on this wall a bunch of my artwork, my paint pouring collages and things like that. And, you know, I'm over that now. So I took those down and put up a whole series of shelves here. And these are featuring what are called benchies. Benchies are these little boats you see here. There's a few other things on here as well, but these little boats, which are used to check out the settings on your printer when you first get it and setting it up. But some people have been taking the basic benchy design and they've been putting them together into comical little things. So like here's a benchy that's sinking. You can't tell what this one is, but basically it's the head of a shark. There's one here, it's got Godzilla on top of it. Things like that. And so I thought I'd print a few of those because they're just fun. But yeah, I've carried on with these shelves. So this shelf is the latest, or shelves is the latest installation, and I've still got a few more to make for this. I did have some shelves when I first got my 3D printer. I made these brackets and put these black pieces of basically stiff cardboard across them, but they're starting to sag and they were looking kind of sad. So I thought, let's spruce it up and put up more of these. So I'm printing a few more of these as well to put up. This is my marble statue kind of gallery. Sits in behind my serger and my printer. This is marble filament, by the way. It's plastic that looks like marble. But that's another display. And then we have on this wall, the one that's always behind me in my videos. You've seen it before. It's a combination of my gnomes and my comical Buddha bus. And you saw that one. And then I have these ones behind my printers, more figures, and the Mickey Mouse collection as well. Yeah, am I obsessed or what's the story? Sorry, I just cut myself off here on the recording. I'm trying to hit the right button. There we go. I need to change the icons on those buttons so they stand out a little better. But anyways, yeah, that's what I'm doing with my 3D printer these days. Every now and then I go to various sites that I go to find 3D print objects. I look for some practical ones, but I always get waylaid by the, you know, the novelty items and things like that. So yeah, it's a toy for a big boy. You've heard me say that many times before. Okay, so what's that take me to? Page 2, add notes. Okay. Blast from the past. Yes. This is still my ongoing trip to Australia in 2018. God, that seems like forever ago. It was trip number 2, this one. It's the one where we went to Melbourne first and, you know, we had a rented car and drove all over the place. Well, this is one of the places we went to. This is part 1 of this particular day. It's called Panola is the name of the place, a quaint little town that we stayed overnight in. So that was February 13th, 2018. So here's part 1 of Panola.
So today we're on our way to where are we going today?
First Mount Gambier and then Panola.
Okay, and so, however, we're still in Warrnambool, and this is the Bunnings warehouse. Now, if any of you watch Accuquilt, you'll know that Adele on Accuquilt, who lives outside of Sydney, always talks about Bunnings as well as Spotlight. So we saw Bunnings, we're going to go in. It looks kind of like it's probably like a Home Depot, what we're familiar with in North America. So anyways, we're going to go in there and check it out.
So here we are at Port Ferry, is what it's called. Little community, according to the science, the most livable community in the world. Well, I don't know. It's okay, it's a little community. That's about all I can say about it. Anyways, that's where all the ferries come from. In the distance, there's some windmills. This is just outside of a little place called Yambuk. That's probably not how you say it, but that's what it looks like. Kind of a rustic area. Some idea of what we're traveling across. Some ways it reminds you of like rural Ontario.
Except the grass is all brown.
Yeah, grass is all brown. Well, they must be dry or something.
But I think it is normally dry, probably.
Maybe. There's some more windmills.
Cypress trees.
Yeah, they're kind of cool tree.
Actually, I think we have evergreen bushes that are cypress.
Oh yeah?
Because they're yellow on top. I think my mom used to have one. But our growing season's so short.
Moo-moos in the distance. Walter trying to drive on the left-hand side of the road. A little better today. I'm not getting scraped off into the ditch. You see this white line over here on the left-hand side of the screen? Walter likes to straddle that. Just for fun. Lots of windmills. Seen a few dead kangaroos on the road along this stretch of the highway. In fact, Walter went to avoid one dead creature and drove right over it. Like aimed right for the center of it. Just plowed it. Like you had room to go, like it could have gone under the car. It wasn't that high. You could have straddled it. But no, you got it with the left wheels. I think you got with both too. Because it was a bump. If that thing wasn't dead, it's dead now. There's no two ways about it. Well, it was dead. It was pretty mashed. But ew. This area here, you can see that the leaves are all brown and the trunk's blackened and there's ash on the ground. So there must have been a forest fire all through in here. So we're at Mount Gambier, and this is the sinkhole, which is basically a garden, according to this. And so we're going down there to take a look. There's a big piece of statuary here in the front of it. This tells you about the sculpture. And basically it represents sinkholes and how they happen. So this is walking through the park that takes you to this sinkhole. Very green, very lush. And these look like public washrooms. No, they're not.
No, washrooms.
Oh, okay. So we're walking towards the sinkhole. Keep wanting to call it the stinkhole, but no, it's not a stinkhole. It's a sinkhole that has flowers in it. Well, what else can you do with a sinkhole? So we'll see what this is like. So it's quite a big sinkhole. We're just at the top of it. But you can see down in there. There's some people walking down there, you can see. So there's all these flowers and things. So we'll go down further and see. So, what did you notice was different this time when you took pictures in this sinkhole? What wasn't here? What didn't pop into your picture unexpectedly and out of the blue?
Chinese.
Exactly. No
No
Asians.
No Asians. Yeah.
Okay, so we're about to descend into the hole, and this is what you have to descend down. And I'll probably fall down if I try to video this as I'm going down, so I'm not going to. So we're just moving our way down. You can see under here. This is a whole part of the sinkhole. All the hanging vines. There's steps that go down into the sinkhole, and that's what I'm going down very carefully as I do this. I'm hanging onto a handrail because I don't want to trip. It's not that treacherous. I mean, they're just cement stairs, but trying to go take video while doing this is not easy. So we're at the bottom of the sinkhole right now. Let's see what this has to say. And this is explaining how the sinkhole was created.
You see all these vines and everything go right to the top of the sinkhole. Kind of fascinating. $200-kilometer drive to get here from where we were before. So was it worth the drive to the sinkhole?
Yeah, actually, it's not too bad.
No, it's kind of interesting. So just on another level of the sinkhole, walking down here amongst the flowers. Hydrangea, I think. Little waterfall here. One last look from another level. Hydrangea.
Oh, it's a hydrangea.
Yeah. Ferns. I don't know what these things are. So this is in along by the wall. It's a little narrow walkway. So you can kind of see what it looks like, the sinkhole itself, behind all the flora and fauna. And I think that's the end of the road here. And that's where we came from. Okay, so in the same town where we saw the sinkhole, Mount Gambier, we are now looking at the Blue Lake, which is a volcanic lake, and it's this color until about November, and then it changes. This is a crater created by a volcano, and there's a sign here that tells you.
Do you two want a photo together with the Blue Lake at the backdrop?
And of course, there's a glare on that, so you can't see it very well, but you can see what the lake looks like. And the back of Quilter's head, and the lake again. Very blue.
So that takes me to events in the past week. Well, as I already mentioned, we spent pretty much all of Tuesday with Tracy at Whirls and Swirls. You've heard me talk about Tracy before. She is my dealer for my long arm, and she is excellent, an excellent provider of customer service and everything you want to know about your long arm and the whole bit. So she, and I've got a picture of her. Now, when you see this picture, don't laugh. I had to take a still from the video that I did while we were there. And it's probably not the best picture of Tracy, so she'll kill me if she ever sees this, I know. But Tracy's a wonderful person, and she knows everything about long arms, and she's a brilliant free motion customized long armor herself as well. But she was showing us here some of the features of the program as well. And I really appreciate Tracy giving up her time for us on this for no charge. You know, this is just the kind of service that she provides. So I can't say too much or not enough. I can't say not enough about Tracy because she's wonderful. Anyways, we spent a great day with her. I learned a lot, almost like pretty much overload. And now I'm working with the knowledge that I gained that day from Tracy. Okay, and what else? Well, we had a pop-up sewing craft day this past Saturday. Had a lot of fun. We had, you know, a fair number of people. It wasn't hundreds and hundreds. It was more like, I think at the height of it, we might have had about 12 people or whatever, and that was just fine. Everybody seemed to have a good time, so at least they said. And we got a lot done, and yeah, I learned a few things as well, always do. I was inspired by this group of individuals, very talented individuals. And as I said earlier, if you want to be part of this, just watch for my notifications for the next one. And, you know, if you want to be on the mailing list for it, just send me a note to my email address and I'll add you on. So we have a good time. You'll enjoy it. It'll be fun, really. Okay, so that's about all that went on last week. It was a pretty busy week trying to learn and still learning the quilt path. So what's coming up? Well, advance notice, Craft and Chat, May the 4th. May the 4th be with you, as I said before, at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The Zoom link will be in the show notes below for this video and for all the videos I put out this week. Also, those of you that are on my mailing list for Craft and Chat will be getting probably tail end of this week. You'll be getting your own personalized email with the Zoom link in that as well. So lots of spots where you can find the link for it. And if you're free that day and need a few hours of relaxation, I hope you can join us. So that's Wednesday, May the 4th, not this Wednesday coming, the week after, at 1 p.m., starting at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And so that's it for me this week. Thank you for watching. I'm going to say it again, much as it leaves a bad taste in my mouth, but if you have not subscribed, please do. And yeah, I'm going to beg you for some likes because, okay, I'm giddy right now with people's response. I'm over 6,000 viewers. That only took 10 years to get, or subscribers, I mean. So, you know, let's go for 7,000 and let's see if we can get to that within the next 10 years or whatever. Anyways, I'm rambling. I'm going. Have a great week. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.